Okay, is Vince McMahon really taking a break from WWE? Is he really stepping down? Guys, we have all the information in today's video. Make sure you guys watch it in its entirety, and let's get started.
You have arrived at your destination.
Welcome back to Destination Pro Wrestling here on YouTube. My name is Ango, and of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Tango with Ango. If you're not following me, I don't know why, because we got a lot of cool stuff popping off on Twitter. But nonetheless, today we are talking about Vince McMahon stepping down from WWE, because this seems to be a very hot topic after it's been reported that Vince McMahon missed Raw and Smackdown, which, by the way, happened to be really good episodes of Raw and Smackdown this past week. And of course, this is generating some sort of conversation about whether or not he is taking a break from WWE, whether or not he is stepping down from WWE. And now that time has gone by, and we know that AEW is going to be competing against WWE on Wednesday nights, there's a lot of things that you guys should know about this whole situation. So, with that being said, don't forget to click that subscribe button, and as always, don't forget, ring the bell. This way you guys get notified on all the latest videos. All right, guys, we're asking for 100 likes. Okay, I want to throw out a goal of 100 likes because you guys seem to be blowing this goal right off the bat. Every video over 200-300 likes, but let's see if we can hit 100 likes on this video because you guys are awesome. Prove that it's proof that you guys are literally the greatest audience in the world. So with that being said, what's going on with the Vince McMahon situation? Let's talk about it. So Vince McMahon was not backstage for Raw or SmackDown this week, and that was due to some meetings with XFL. Because as you guys know, Vince McMahon is running the XFL, which will be taking place next year, early next year. And the XFL has actually made a lot of progress as a new startup for football. I want to say pro wrestling, but obviously Vince McMahon already has a pro wrestling company, so we know that's not the case. But the XFL, for the football league that he's starting, he's got a lot of things going on. Obviously, the teams, the GMs, and now players are starting to get signed to the organization, which a lot of people are kind of nervous about. I'm a football fan. I'm going to watch XFL just because it's going to be pretty much right after the NFL season, so the more football, the better. Very similar to like pro wrestling, right? The more wrestling you can watch, the better it is. And it's also my same mentality with basketball, right? Like the NBA season's over, and then I begin the big three, which is not bad. So, yes, I'm going to watch the XFL, and pretty much so is Vince McMahon. It is being said that Vince McMahon has some plans to take some time away from WWE to pursue XFL. And while this may not be Vince McMahon technically stepping down from his title in WWE as chairman and CEO, basically Vince McMahon would be stepping away to allow Triple H, Stephanie, as well as Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman to run the show. It's also being said by multiple sources that Vince McMahon actually surprisingly won't have a say in what goes down with NXT on the USA Network, which if you're a pro wrestling fan, this is like music to your ears. Like, this is great news, because the one thing that we don't really want happening to NXT on the USA Network is Vince McMahon being involved. You know, NXT has been a really good product over the years, but one of the big issues that a lot of people have had with NXT is that we kind of knew it was inevitable that it was eventually going to be on national television. And it just so happens the new company, AEW, is a serious potential threat to WWE, and it pretty much inspired that move to happen a lot sooner. And now WWE is, in fact, on the USA Network. Nonetheless, it is being said that Triple H will be 100% in control, of course, with William Regal, Albert, Prince Albert, Tensai, Lord Tensai. Those guys will be running the show. And then WWE obviously has Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff taking Raw and SmackDown, which, like I said, these last 2 weeks of Raw and SmackDown have been pretty good. And it just so happens this week it was a great week for WWE, despite Vince McMahon not being there. So I don't know, like, a lot of people love to bash on Vince McMahon, and I understand why they do, but Vince McMahon did not become a genius in the pro wrestling world just by not having knowledge. Clearly, he knew what he was doing. He got himself very, very far. He pretty much changed the landscape of pro wrestling, and whether you like that or hate it, you got to respect it. And that's the thing about Vince McMahon that is just so crucial to WWE. But as you guys know, WWE as big as it has been numbers wise, because whether or not you understand the context of ratings and stuff like that, it doesn't matter. WWE's ratings have been a little bit iffy, but so has pretty much everything that involves entertainment. We are changing the way on a daily basis that we consume content. I mean, for crying out loud, we have over 24,000 people who are subscribed here to get pro wrestling news, information, and all that good stuff. So we consume entertainment a little bit differently. So the ratings are down. People think that's a bad thing, but WWE stocks and prices and all that good stuff, they're making money. They're making great money. Now, because they're making great money, Vince McMahon is reportedly taking a break from WWE on a full-time basis. So essentially what the report is that Vince McMahon will still be in charge, but he's going to give these guys a little bit more freedom. He won't micromanage the product. That is, of course, unless they start to struggle and things start to get bad for WWE. But let's think about it from any business perspective. For an example, if you own a business and you give the reins to somebody else who has proven over time that they can run a business for you, will you continue to micromanage them? More than likely not. You're going to give them the freedom because they are doing what is asked, right? So as a business person, Vince McMahon would be making the right decision. And if Vince McMahon's baby, which is the WWE in this case, were to start falling through the cracks, regardless if you fans agree or not, Vince McMahon would need to do something different to take control of the product. And that's kind of what's happened here. So that is why it makes sense that, Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman are taking over SmackDown and Raw. And it makes sense as to why Triple H is still running NXT. And of course, with NXT, it's such a big, popular product as is. I think it's going to have tremendous success with USA. And I think AEW on TNT will have tremendous success. And the fact that both companies could be successful is beneficial for all of us as pro wrestling fans, because that means we're not going to have Vince McMahon changing up NXT. Now, with that being said, I do have some concerns, because a lot of people have been waiting for the day for Triple H to take over, and, that's clearly not happening right now with Raw and SmackDown. Triple H is focused on NXT. So if Triple H is working on NXT, this is going to be our first glimpse of what it would be like for Triple H to run WWE television. And what I mean by that is NXT was on the WWE network. If things didn't go the way that they wanted because it's, not live, it was pre-taped, they're able to reshoot the matches. They're able to reshoot the promos. They're able to fix those things up at a television taping, whereas on live TV, it's completely different. We don't really know what to expect from Triple H, although we've seen some great things from NXT on the WWE network. The big focus of NXT in general for most pro wrestling fans was NXT TakeOver. So this will be a first glimpse of whether or not we can trust Triple H, and then maybe one day Triple H eventually takes over WWE, Raw, and SmackDown. But nobody knows just yet. I'm excited. Honestly, as somebody who's a fan of WWE and AEW, I think this is great. I think Vince possibly stepping away, possibly stepping down. It's almost time for a new change in pro wrestling, and I think Triple H just simply gets it, right? Like, I see a lot of people complaining, for example, that Triple H has kind of turned NXT into ROH, yet here they are loving the fact that Cody Rhodes is building up AEW, which is essentially an elevated version of ROH, an elevated version of, Impact and MLW. So the thing is, if we're going to criticize WWE and Triple H specifically, we got to criticize Cody Rhodes. But the reason why we can't criticize either one is because this is the direction pro wrestling is going. Whether you like it or not, a lot of people are in love with indie wrestling. A lot of people are in love with the flips and the acrobatic move sets. And, that is what people are interested in right now. And I think for as long as pro wrestling continues that trend, it's not for everybody, but there's going to be a product for everybody. Raw and SmackDown is more geared towards sports entertainment. NXT is WWE's wrestling product, just like 205 Live is. And AEW is a wrestling product that is opposing WWE. So ultimately, it's very interesting stuff that's happening, but the climate of pro wrestling continues to grow. And I'm just honestly excited to see where this goes. 2019, 2020 is going to be exciting. Guys, I'll be in Chicago next week for All Out. Hit me up. Follow me on Twitter. Let's talk. Would love to meet a lot of you guys. I'll be there chilling. Got a lot of big plans for All Out. A lot of content, which means I actually just dropped an Instagram account. That's right, at Tango with Ango on Instagram, at Tango with Ango on Twitter. And of course, guys, don't forget to click that subscribe button. This way, you guys could get notified on all the latest content. This is Ango, and I will see you guys next time on Destination PW.